All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Nightcap Knowledge. It's an action-packed episode tonight. We've got not a public service announcement, but it's a public service update. Now, last time I checked, I don't know, and I've looked a couple places. We are one of the only platforms doing something like this that come on and that are in positions of power and of providing in positions of influence and are providing regular updates. So Commissioner Keith Stamps is no stranger to Nightcap Knowledge, and tonight we have him on, but Mr. Mac will do the Mental Health Minute. I will give you the groove, but we definitely got to give a shout out to the homie DJ Cujo, the Hub City Step. That is our sponsor for tonight. DJ Cujo, the Hub City Step. Y'all check out that track right now. All right, that's enough of that. Let's get this show started. It's Nightcap Knowledge. Yes, sir. What's happening? How y'all doing out there? How you feeling, Mr. Mac?
Man, I'm feeling good, man. You see me throw away my imaginary drumsticks?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw you. I didn't know if you were throwing away a cigar or
at the end, I just threw them out, man.
Just threw them out.
Yeah, that's it. Man, what is the deal, Pickle? Is everything kosher?
All is kosher. Kosher as a pickle, bub.
Hey, man. We got to do what we got to do, brother. This show is rated black and uncensored. Let me say it one more time before our guests come out. This show is rated black and uncensored. Real talk, real issues, real solutions. And we're here to tell it like a TI is. Hey, it might not be the show for you. Just letting y'all know. Now, we try to come and give it to you every week and have a late night platform where you can be relaxed and talk about some real stuff that's going on. So we jump into our mental health minute. Our mental health minute is always a good one because so many things in life get you down, and we always got to stick with perseverance. Don't give up, keep fighting. Because again, we talk about, especially for our people, the hog versus lion mentality. You got to realize you're a lion, that you got to fight every day. So you can't give up. When time get hard, you got to fight. You got to be ready to fight, have a mindset on fighting, mind focus on fighting, not giving up, not rolling over, but fighting. So persevere, don't give up. When things seem to get you down, use it as momentum, catch others off guard, and when they think they got you, and then you keep fighting until you win. Until the goal is met or until the whatever is accomplished. But always keep fighting, and you got friends, and stay positive, and surround yourself with those who support you, and keep fighting. So don't give up. What is the groove, Chuck?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mac. Yes, sir. I would say, look, and you know I like perseverance, man. It's like ain't nothing like not quitting. I've known a lot of rappers and lyricists to say something to the effect of the only thing that we didn't do was quit. I've known some people that have joined certain organizations, and there were some that did quit, but at the end of the process, they said the only thing that we didn't do was quit. And to tie in your mental health minute to the groove is this, man. I can say without a doubt that I have been truly consistent, and I would say an example of perseverance in what we can refer to as the DJ game. We have, and shout out to Marcus Banks, shout out to our brothers Marcus and Sabir. Um, the thing that I want to share in terms of me, recognizing like I've been doing this since I was 17. I always find your groove, and if you get in your groove, that means the record might skip a little bit, but you can get back on track. Even if it skip a little bit, if you're a skilled DJ, nobody will know. For those of us that know how to use turntables. This weekend, this past Sunday, I participated in something called the Bridal Expo, and it was sponsored by the Gulf Coast Woman magazine, Gulf Coast Weddings. Um, if you're of their demographic, and that's pretty much anybody, I would say it leans more towards the ladies and those that will be brides. And Mac, he said he called you back. So whatever. Now back to the case at hand. There was a lot of excitement at the Bridal Expo. There were a few wedding vendors that were there. They was like, how have we not come across you? How do we not know you? I said, well, the first time that I was a vendor for this particular event, I was tucked off in a corner, kind of new to the coast, not so new, but still, kind of new. And it was a situation where you go in and you try to get what you can get out of the event, right? You go there with a mission. You, at the end of it, you feel as though, hey, I got 2 or 3 clients out of the event. Well, Mac, this time, and Nightcap family, I was able to serve as the DJ and the MC for the event. And by the end of it, my lead sheet had about 11 people on it. Like, they dropped their info off at my little table. But I think, and Mac, this with working in events, there's nothing like having somebody that is planning the event that is going to refer you. So through the consistency of one, not giving up and not, becoming discouraged, because business is business, right? By sticking to the cardinal principle of perseverance, I was able to, grow my business since the last time that we participated in the Bridal Expo, or the Bridal Experience by the Gulf Coast Weddings. But this time we were invited to be the MC and the DJ. So throughout the event, we did what we did. We showed up, we showed out. We took names, literally. We took names. And by the end of it, folks was like, I need your card. I need your card. The wedding planners, I need your card. I'm like, look, I've been doing this. We've been doing this since What's Up Wednesday. And to lead into the gentleman that will be joining us tonight, as we throw the graphic up on the screen, this is a public service update. And this gentleman, he has been about this life. He has been about this business, and he has been consistent in his messaging. He has been consistent in the way that he shows up in community. And this is what I like. This is what I like the most. He been consistent on how he show up in politics. And I would say there is no difference between the way that he shows up in community, like when he shows up at the Groove, and when he shows up inside of the political arena. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's welcome back to Nightcap Knowledge our friend, our public servant, and our public service commissioner, Keith Stamps.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on, everybody?
So,
I'm ready.
You ready?
I got some body armor sports. They're not paying me for this plug, but and if I'm hydrated, you know I'm gonna snap. I'm gonna have a good time tonight.
Come on.
So I'm sitting back here on the porch and looking forward to having a great night. How y'all been doing, man? Hey, first off, congratulations on 200 episodes, man.
200 episodes.
200 episodes. This is 201.
Yes, sir.
But congratulations on 200 episodes. You know, Mac and I started a venture years ago, and we spent a lot of Wednesday nights together. And now he transitioned on and spent a lot of Tuesday nights. You know, so but the same spirit, same heart, same love. I appreciate you, brothers.
Man, look, we appreciate you for jumping on, because a lot of our elected officials, they tend to look past platforms such as ours. Yeah.
For real? You get out of here, man. Hey, I try to tell guys, I say, hey, it's worked for me. And I've been marginally successful.
Yeah. Yeah. So
marginally successful.
Just marginally successful, right? Like you've been able to start at what was your first political position?
I was on the city council in Jackson.
Okay, so city council and
state rep,
then state rep, and then public service commission. All right, so I know we gonna get to the update, because I know that you've been working there. There are a lot of updates, because I mean, you know, Sabir is always talking to us about Beam and broadband and digital redlining and access to broadband internet and all of that. So we're gonna get to that, but we definitely need to get some life updates. You know, like, you know, what has the Keith Stamps been doing other than, you know, politicking?
Hey, I've been down here in rural Hines County working on my farm.
What you got planted?
Well, you just got a little vegetable garden, but, you know, our main operation, my dad, you know, I grew up on a cow-calf operation with my dad, and he's building. He does 99% of the work in that. He's retired, that's what he does, but I chip in a little bit. On my farm, you know, we just do a small vegetable garden. I do timber, so it's not like I got to do something every day. But we're putting a framework in place to do a vegetable garden. We'll have a fall garden again this year, and go from there. Okay,
well, that's what's up, because I know Mac is he's a bartender turned farmer, and
well, no, so you know, but when Mac grew up in it, so it's like, see, when God created man, He created a farmer.
That's right.
Every other profession derives from a farmer. When the farmer got to making money, he needed to send somebody to school to be an accountant. And when the handshake wasn't good, somebody got to write a contract, so they became a lawyer.
There you go.
A banker. So, but all of this comes from farming. So
that's true.
Mac was born with the spirit of Adam as a farmer.
There you go.
And he's done other things just like I have, you have, and other folks have too.
Yeah, this is a cool fact. As we prepare for homecoming season, football season is upon us. The first graduate of Tougaloo College was all of the things that you just named. Like
Right.
in his bio, that brother had to be an attorney. I believe he was also, a doctor / barber. But all of those things. And I found that out while working at Tougaloo. I knew the name when we got to Tougaloo in 99 or so, but I never got some of that information until his great grandson came back and spoke at one of the graduations. And through that deep dive, we found out that, the whole jack of all trades thing, like you have to be, and you had to be a jack of all trades. And that's not to say that Commissioner Stamps, just because he has these different skills, isn't an expert or a master of only one of them.
Right.
This brother knows a little bit about a lot, and probably knows more than a little bit than the average person out there. So with that being said, I know you know a lot about what's going on at the Public Service Commission.
Oh yeah, but also a piece of my background, man. I grew up and I went to youth legislature for many years when I was in junior high and high school.
Okay.
So we would reenact government. So that's when I realized that the pen is truly mightier than the sword. Even though I always wanted to be a Marine, so I did that, and I traveled around the world in Marine One. So when you ride with the president every day and you see global governance,
right?
You can't talk to these people, but your ears open, your eyes open. You're networking with folks, and you're working with folks every day. So when you see that space, and then when I retired, I got hired by the CAO of the U.S. House to work with wounded warriors, and I chose to come back to Mississippi. So working in and around the White House, then working over in Congress, and then coming back to Mississippi and working on the ground. I worked with Congressman Thompson for a little while to work with veterans in District 2. And then I branched off on my own and kind of charted my own course, kind of how God leads you. And as you grow up as men,
right,
we kind of figure out how we want to navigate life, and that's led me to this point. So I kind of have seen things from an experience before I got into politics that has immense value today.
Right. So what give us, I know you named a lot of that. Point out one moment that gave you that clarity to say, I'm going back to Mississippi and I'm going to serve.
Well, it was always the goal. My family's been in, the military for generations, I mean, like 6 of them, so that's our cheat code. My great grandfather went to World War. He was in World War I. He came back, bought 36 acres of land with his veteran money.
Okay.
And, my grandfather was in the Navy. My daughter's in the Air Force right now,
right.
So, our mode of how we move has been service, military service, and coming back home and doing something after retirement. So that's just how we've been moved through the generations. It worked for them. I don't consider myself the sharpest knife in the drawer. I just do what works. And that formula has worked for us for generations. And now my daughter's doing the same thing. So
yeah,
we're working through it.
That's legacy. What you described to me. That's legacy.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm super proud of her. She's my hero, man. My oldest daughter, she's my hero. She's rocking and rolling in the Air Force. She's been in there 7 years now. Can you believe it, Max? 7 years?
That's what I was just about to say. I can't believe it's been 7.
7 years, man.
And then the baby girl just turned 16.
Right. Baby girl just turned 16. She's running track and all that stuff. So, my middle daughter just finished up her freshman year in Tuskegee. And so she's rocking and rolling. Things are going good, man.
Look, now you're giving us some of the feel good stuff before you drop these bombs.
And I got one that's gonna knock it out the park.
And what's that?
I'm about to be a granddad, man.
Oh.
What?
All right. So
I've been waiting to be Papa Bear.
Look, now what's gonna be your grandparent name? Like you got
See, I've
something
been working
special?
on that, man, because that's a real name. Like your grandchildren will only know you as that.
Right.
So I've been really trying to figure out how do I want to do this, because like my grandfather's name was Daddy John,
Uh-huh.
and so I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna come up with something good.
Okay. Look,
I'm excited though. I'm in granddad prep mode, so I'm excited.
look, you getting all of the child proofing things back in order.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. From day one, I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right. That's well. Look, congratulations on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get there.
Oh yeah.
But I can wait.
But you can wait. But you know what I'm saying? Hey, but if you're ready, you ain't got to get ready. Nature always wins. One thing about life that I don't realize in parenting, nature always wins.
Nature will always win. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So look, let's get into some of the I guess you say, we got a little appetizer and we got a little dessert with some of the things that you shared with us and the family updates. But tell us what's going on in the Public Service Commission and particularly in your district.
Oh man, we're rolling. We are rolling. We set a course out, and it sounded crazy when we were campaigning and people didn't think we were serious.
Uh-huh.
But we set a course out to create 100,000 jobs.
Okay.
And it sounds pretty bold and audacious, but in the first month that we were in office, we created 10,000 jobs. Just in the first month.
First month, 10,000 jobs, 10K.
Yep, 10,000. Between the Amazon deal, the battery plant up in Marshall County, and a couple other projects that we got sprinkled around the state of Mississippi. And we're rolling. We're gonna do 100,000 jobs within 5 or 6 years.
Okay. Now job creation is one of those hot topic items that everybody likes to kind of throw around in terms of campaign speeches and platforms and things. How do you really do that? Because you're talking about these deals. Like, how do you really create jobs with these deals?
So the number one thing every elected official must understand is your number one goal, your number one mission is to increase the value of the property that you govern. Number one. Number two is create opportunities for the people you govern.
Mm-hmm.
And you do that by, Mac will remember this, when we were in city council, we did a SWOT analysis of the city of Jackson, trying to figure out all the ways that we can grow this daggone city. And one of those things that we identified was that the city during the WorldCom era had laid so much fiber in the ground all over the city of Jackson and Hines County.
Okay.
So we said, well, who needs this? Who uses this? And we tried to get the city of Jackson to pursue data centers, 8 years ago, because that's who uses, who needs fiber? People who transfer a lot of data.
Right.
So in our little ward, Fort Mine, in our little office, the world is becoming more computerized and apps, and you got to store all this stuff somewhere.
Right.
So let's take a look at it. So, just like many other suggestions, it kind of fell on deaf ears. We couldn't get traction on it. It died down. A few years later, MDA picked up the mantra, identified the same thing. I can't say it was because of what we did or the noise we were making, but they picked up the same scent that, there's some opportunity here. When we got to the legislature, we passed a few enabling pieces of legislation that allowed the framework for potential data centers to exist. Then partnered with the federal government, some more advancements were made. And in January, Amazon felt as though Mississippi had a stable regulatory environment, because when it comes to economic development, the largest economic developers in this state are Entergy and Mississippi Power, because they got the most money.
Right.
Because, you're going to pay your light bill. Even if your house is in foreclosure, you're going to pay the light bill.
Right. Yeah.
So,
that makes sense. So you're saying that the regulatory environment is what made Mississippi very attractive for a place like Amazon.
Well, everybody at big business level wants to be able to trust the government they're investing $10 billion in.
Mm-hmm.
In our space, in the electricity space, you have to be stable. It's a very prudent space. It's not an emotional kind of situation. So, several folks around the world, because these deals affect the whole world. These are not just something that happens in Mississippi.
Right.
When a company like Amazon, who's a global company, when they make a investment of this magnitude, it affects the stock market. So you got to have trust in who you're dealing with at this level. And, everybody felt solid. The banks felt solid. The stock market felt solid. Amazon felt solid. The governor's office felt solid. And once we kind of hammered out the templates of it, we went over to the legislature and determined that, how we wanted to structure it. And, it wasn't a perfect piece of legislation by any regard, but we're going to work with it. But we're also but it opens up more avenues and opportunities to do other things as well.
And so what are those other opportunities? Can you give some example without, saying too much?
Yeah. So first, it puts us in a conversation that we've never been in before. This is a new industry for us. We've done car plants before. We've done chicken plants before. We've done poultry industry before. But turning, cornfields or space that's away from a city into an operation that produces economy and creates jobs, adds more partners to your system. So it opens up every opportunity. Like, Canton schools are going to benefit immensely because really, it's 1,800 acres. So it's not like one building.
Right.
It's like 900 acres next to Canton, 800 acres next to Tougaloo. So the partnerships with Canton and the partnership with Tougaloo, you're right there. So Tougaloo can now create a program through workforce development to send people into that industry that's next door. I mean, you could probably create a gate and walk on the campus and they can walk to that class right through the woods.
Well, it's funny you should say that. That's been a and if I'm not mistaken, I think I released the clip where we spoke about creating this continuum. And it was, the idea was this: between Piney Woods and Tougaloo, the amount of land surrounding and the amount of land that the institutions own.
And don't forget, Utica Junior College down in Raymond.
Yes, sir. You are correct. So with what you've described, what the imagination can run wild with the types of programs and these pipelines that can be built from one institution to the other. So let's say you got Piney Woods, you got Utica Junior College, aka Hines Utica, and then Tougaloo, but then also throw into the mix Tougaloo Early College.
That's right.
So you've got all of the things that you need, and really what it sounds like that has been recreated if we can get all of these people on the same page and get some quote unquote egos out of the way. The Daniel Hand School. Oh, and we talking a little bit of history. The Daniel Hand School, it was the pipeline for Tougaloo. It's like, so you went to Daniel Hand School from 0 to 12, and then when you got done there, you went to the other building. So what you're describing with what could happen with Tougaloo and the Amazon situation, I think that I think that's a wonderful opportunity. And of course, Mac and I would love to be able to push whatever footballs we can up the field, or put the ball through the hoop or make a pass or whatever, for our sports folks, and get ready for football season and all of that. if we can, whatever way we can help, we definitely willing to help. If it be nothing but drive the conversation and get the right people into the room.
Yeah, it's just a matter of being a little bit creative, and do things a little bit differently. But it's time to think differently in Mississippi. Actually, it's time to stop fighting.
I had to give you the horn on that one.
My view of politics is kind of simple. Let's just make a list of the things we agree on and just start chopping wood.
Yeah.
Like, I don't argue with Tate Reeves or Governor Reeves. I just make a list of what we agree on. Let's work on that.
Yeah.
We already know what we disagree on.
Without a doubt.
Okay. He's on his last term. So that means if we bumping heads,
we're not going to get nothing done.
Right?
Yeah.
We know
what he ain't giving up on. Like he is not letting go on certain things. We know that.
We know that.
Yeah.
And me either.
Yeah.
But as men, we have to lead the state. And so we're gonna work together on the things we agree on. And when we get to the things we disagree on, at least we have a little bit more respect to even in the Amazon deal. There are things that I fundamentally disagree with into the deal.
Yeah.
But we were mature enough to say, okay, how can we work through these issues and move forward?
That's what's up. That's what's up. Mac, you got anything over there? Because I know I'm kind of just I'm firing. Like,
well, right now it's August. We better get ready to get into September. So two things I want to keep to the update. It's hot topics. We have been hands-on working with that. One, the status of what's going on with Atmos, and then two, an update about the stuff we've been hearing about the solar farm.
Okay. So when we came in office January the 4th, about 2 weeks later, tragedy started to happen when it comes to natural gas.
right.
Hats off to Mississippi Move for always jumping in, trying to figure out how to organize, how to create opportunities, how to solve problems, how to bring stakeholders together. And we just started working through the issue. The same relationship we've had since 2012, doing the same thing. All we're doing is the same thing we've always done, and we're doing it the same way.
Right.
We were just blessed to start this journey off with fundamental, foundational people of like minds to have this symbiotic relationship between government, nonprofit, private sector, and problem solving and helping to think through problems. And so from my side was simple. I just told Atmos, well, go fix it.
Hello. You know what's wrong. Go fix it.
Yeah. And so they were like, well, let me just show you. And they briefed me on everything. We have advisors and, technical people who offer technical advice. I asked a few questions. I said, okay, when this infrastructure was put in place, all infrastructure has a service life. Okay.
Where are we on that?
Beyond the service life.
Right.
They said, well, yes. Okay. So it should have been on someone's schedule to fix before the service life was over. They was like, well, yes. I said, okay, well, let's go and do it today. So
what they say? What they say?
I have a choice because see the way this business works is in the executive branch of government for Mississippi, you have the governor, the attorney general, secretary of state, ag commissioner, auditor, treasurer, the 3 public service commissioners, and the 3 transportation commissioners make up the executive branch of government. I'm in a position where I don't have a boss. And it's 3 commissioners on the Public Service Commission. So I can't talk to my peers without creating a quorum. So I called my peers up. We all met up, looked at the situation. I looked to my left and looked to my right. And I said, do y'all agree with my recommendation? They said, hey, we're with you. It's your district.
Yeah.
We want you to be with us. when it comes to something for our district.
Right.
That's what you want to do? Let's fix it.
Let's get it.
So I turned to the admins folks and said, okay, I think we're pretty much solid on where we are. And that conversation took about as long as it took me to tell you this.
Yeah.
And we move forward.
Well, look, I love an efficient meeting.
Oh, our last meeting we meet once a month.
Yeah.
Our last meeting for the commission, and Mac could tell you we're used to some 6 and 7 hour council meetings. You know, we've had them over the years, you know, but our last meeting was 15 minutes from Pledge of Allegiance to adjournment.
Say what? How many minutes?
15 minutes.
15 minutes. So through agenda items and everything.
Millions of dollars, issues, because see, for us, by the time we get to the meeting,
it's a formality.
If I can say something that changes Commissioner Brown's mind,
okay,
in a meeting,
the Northern District Commissioner,
or Commissioner Carr in the Southern District, if there's something I can say in the meeting that makes you change your vote, you should fire your whole staff. Because these issues, sometimes they take 3, 4, 6 months, a year and a half. This stuff has been working through a process to determine the decisions that need to be made.
Right.
You've gone over it over and over again. Our offices communicate, even though as commissioners, we can only communicate in the meeting, but our offices communicate back and forth. And we found that if you communicate before the meeting through your offices, and, you know, you got to go back and forth a lot, but you get solid, answer all your questions, jump up and down, scream and shout, you know, behind closed doors, but display to the people a stable government that they can trust, you know, that they can believe in.
Yeah.
So that they can participate in the government.
And feel motivated to participate in the government.
Right. My fundamental belief is the best government you ever have is the government you never hear about.
It doesn't end up in the news, is what you're saying, right?
Problem happened, problem gets solved. Problem gets solved before it gets big.
Yeah, before the local news outlet picks it up.
Right. Just work through the issues and be respectful and go home.
Yeah. I can appreciate that. I've never heard. I can speak with quite certainty that I've never heard an elected official say that the way that you just said it.
People trust the government they never hear about.
So just kind of switching gears for a second. And my question is, do we really trust, or give me some examples of government outside of what you guys are doing with the Public Service Commission? Give me some examples of government that people trust because they never hear about it.
Okay. What city you live in, bro?
I live in Gulfport, Mississippi.
Okay. How often is Gulfport in the news?
Shit. Honestly, I'm sorry. The Gulfport Police Department is in the news quite often. There are some things now. Nationally, no.
Yeah. But just basic government. Just lights, just water, gas, potholes, streets. You know, just basic things.
Yeah. Fix. You saying it gets fixed?
It just happens.
Yeah.
That means people are coming to work.
Yeah. And they're doing work when they get there. Government is supposed to be boring. It's just supposed to happen. And that's our viewpoint. That's really always been my viewpoint. Because Matt can tell you, we have called, even though we're in the media a lot, it's not because we call press conferences. Because I can probably count on my hands the number of press conferences I've called in called yourself. Yeah.
Right. But I'm gonna shoot it to you straight and I'm gonna shoot it to you quick.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's just the way I roll with it. So most of the media call us to ask us questions because I ain't got nothing to hide. I'm just gonna tell you what's going on. I'm gonna tell you he's lying, he's telling the truth, and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah. Yeah. So I appreciate that, and I think that's something to be a call to action. And for more community members, more constituents to call their elected officials to handle things in a way to where we don't have to come in and complain about something or call the news and ask them to do X, Y, and Z about this particular issue. So thank you for that viewpoint. Give us some information about this solar business, because you kind of gave the update about Atmos.
Right.
Give us some information about this solar project that you've been working on and developing.
All right, so let me just preface this.
Okay.
So at the commission, for those who don't know, we regulate the investor-owned utilities in the state, like the Entergy's, the Atmos's, some of the smaller utilities. Our associations are ran by those associations, those
Right.
water associations, electric cooperatives, but we have a working relationship with them as well.
Right.
Power generation wise, the investor-owned utilities have to come to us when Energy wants to do a gas plant, like inside of the Amazon deal. Part of that was the construction of, like the gas plant over in Washington County. And that was part of our negotiations. And so anytime we want to build something, they do that. Power production wise, about 76% of our power comes from natural gas. About 16% comes from nuclear, and about 1% comes from renewables.
Okay.
Inside that 1% space is solar. For us, as a commission, we don't talk about specific cases because we'll be kind of deemed prejudgmental. But I'm going to talk to you about the industry as a whole, because if I talk about a specific case, then as a body, we're also a quasi-judicial body. That's why when you come to our meeting and they start the meeting and say all rise when we walk in, kind of like a judge, because we're a quasi-judicial body. And it's just like when you go to court, if a judge talks about a case specifically before he hears the case, he can get kicked off the case because he's been deemed prejudgmental and not allowing for that petitioner or that applicant to go through the process that they're legally due. So
Understood.
I'm going to talk about the industry as a whole, and not any specific case, but you'll kind of get where I'm going. I fundamentally believe that solar plays a role in what we do.
Okay.
It plays a role in our power mix. Right now we got, over 70% of our power coming from natural gas. Well, there have been natural gas failures in the world. So
say the data shows that we need to diversify.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a strong supporter of nuclear because it's the cleanest and the fastest way to meet the demand, because as a body, meeting the demand is the number one goal. And we tell everybody, our first goal is to keep lights on. Our first goal is to produce more power than we need. Our first goal is to sell power to other states or somebody else so that Mississippians can reap the benefits of that power production. Like, down in South Mississippi, we just did a deal where Georgia and the Atlanta area is buying power from the production operation down in South Mississippi. So the people in Georgia are going to pay that bill for that power, but the ratepayers of Mississippi are going to benefit from selling that power to Georgia. Let's caveat on down to solar.
Yeah. Solar
is critical because it diversifies our mix. It is very good at helping us to recruit big business, because big business wants a diversified mix and they want a degree of renewable into that mix.
Yeah.
So there wouldn't be big business if you didn't have the marketability of the solar.
The potential for solar. Yeah.
Correct. If you wipe solar off, then now we don't get these big businesses. We don't get these economic development opportunities. So now if you start off by saying our goal is to meet the demand, now you can turn around and say, okay, how you want to meet that demand. And with data centers and things like that, like that Amazon deal we've been talking about, that one operation is going to consume more power than any single electrical consumer in our neighboring 8 states. So you don't meet that demand without nuclear and natural gas playing a strong piece to it, because you would in turn, you would need to cover the whole state of Mississippi and Alabama with solar panels to produce enough power to power this thing.
Okay.
So we have to put it in context.
Yeah. So you absolutely
going to go so high.
You need the mix. You just can't
need
have
the mix. Correct. Because you're vulnerable without it. You're very vulnerable as a state, as an economy, because several of our large businesses can't go without power at all. And our citizens need reinvestment. So if I can take money from an Amazon, put it into power purchase agreements where they pay for production, whether it be solar or gas or nuclear, that means that the ratepayers of Mississippi don't have to make those investments.
Yeah.
So now when it comes to solar, is the same way.
It means our tax money doesn't go into paying for those.
Well, your light bill money. Your light bill money.
Okay.
Your light bill money doesn't go to paying for that. Their light bill money is going to pay for that.
Gotcha.
Same thing with solar. Solar allows us to diversify our mix. They can sell power several different ways when they produce it. Even in a farm like mine, I think that our local farmers should have the ability to produce power just to be self-sustaining. We shouldn't have to be attached to the corporations just to produce something that we need so vital. Farmers are our last independent people in this country. So that's why we believe that communities should be able to come together and do solar, because we use so much power, and now we have to be subjected to what the industry or the stock market says. I got to pay for a light bill. Can I produce this myself? Can I be off the grid? We should be able to do solar to the degree where we don't negatively impact the environment or the people next door.
Yeah.
So there's a balance to it. So when it comes to solar, I know some of these operations are huge, some of these operations are small, but there's a way to create a balance where it's respectful of the people around you. And I also fundamentally believe that the government shouldn't really tell me what I can and can't do on my property if I'm not negatively impacting my neighbor.
Right.
So a piece of that is fundamental to me. I'm a farmer.
Yeah.
That's just how we think. So for me, I strike a balance to all this. I don't think we should be anti-solar or pro-solar. We should be prudent energy production, whether it be nuclear, natural gas, wind, solar. We should just be prudent. What is the best thing to do for Mississippi?
Yeah. I have a question, because you're talking about these various energy sources. I sat in, and it's been a while since I've gone to any of these meetings. I sat in on something where folks down here on the Mississippi coast were talking about the blue economy and what does it look like for this part of Mississippi and the Gulf South in general, folks that are along the Gulf of Mexico.
Right.
When we begin to look at the water that we live by, as a means for an economic engine outside of fishing.
Right.
So could you speak to any of that might be on the horizon for the state?
Yeah. So you talking about on the coast?
Yeah, on the coast, or I mean,
there's some power production stuff that people are kicking around. Some folks want to do offshore wind down there in that blue economy. Some folks want to do several things. You got folks want to do hydro down the Mississippi River. So there's several power production ideas that are floating out there.
Yeah.
But we passed a piece of legislation at the commission earlier this year supporting small modular reactors, which are nuclear, and the expansion of that here in Mississippi. So, we're looking at every way we can produce more power. We support all the production: solar, wind, natural gas, nuclear. We support all of them.
Yeah,
because we're going to need them. Because the fight now has to shift from the old narrative of save the planet. How true or not true that is up to your own kind of thought process.
Yeah,
to meet the demand. Because AI search on your computer, and all of us have probably tried out Chat GPT and all that, but Chat GPT on average uses about 18 times the energy as a Google search.
I've never heard that stat.
So that's on average.
Yeah,
it's not the ones who are asking machine learning, which is what artificial intelligence is. Because that means it's called machine learning is because when you type something into that machine, machines start in data centers somewhere start humming.
Yeah.
And
the servers have to be supported. The servers are very hot. It's just like the mining of Bitcoin or whatever, right?
Yeah, crypto mining. Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So for us, we've evolved the conversation from that old, people fight again. Let's just stop fighting. Democrat, Republican, people get mad at you because you support these different things. Let's just meet the demand.
Yeah. Let's find out what we agree on.
No, let's meet the demand because we agree that if we don't meet the demand, everybody's lights go out.
Yeah, I got you.
So
we had to agree that look, we need to meet the demand.
Right.
Because you want lights and so do I.
Right.
I got you. I'm with you. Like no pushback from me. I do like to be able to produce podcasts from my house and not have my lights go out. All of those things are very, very, very attractive for me. Yeah. So what else you got?
I got solar hearings out there all over the state, and we're looking at community by community. Some communities are more welcoming than others. I'll say it and leave it at that. But we're going to work through it. I feel really confident that we're going to work. We had a solar summit just last week where we invited folks out, and we brought in all the stakeholders, everybody that's in solar, everybody that's in electricity, even in community folks. And we had a packed house all day.
And where was this?
At the Public Service Commission.
Okay. And so how would the average Mississippian, they just go to the website and kind of sign up for some updates?
My Facebook page, we put posts out there all day long. Commissioner stamps all over, branded all over the internet, commissioner stamps. And we put it out through the Public Service Commission's information as well. Believe you me, everybody and their grandmother was there. We had a packed house for 8 hours.
8 hours?
8 hours long. Talking about solar from the rooter to the tutor.
Yeah.
And it won't be the last one. It was aimed at, okay, well, let's make a list of what we agree on. What policy changes need to be made and recommended to the legislature to help make these solar projects better and more amenable from all sides.
Mm-hmm.
I liken this solar debate to a fight that Mac and I were in back at the city council when it came to Uber. I was the first person in Mississippi, myself and former Mayor Tony Yarber were the first folks in Mississippi to ride in an Uber. But during that crafting process, the taxi drivers was like, people are going to get raped in the car. It's going to shut down the taxi industry. It's going to demonstrate the business. And with some of it, it did.
Yeah.
But at the time, you could go to New Orleans or go to Atlanta and get an Uber, but you couldn't get an Uber in Mississippi. Anywhere. So the city of Jackson was the first place in Mississippi that passed a law for Uber. It was rough and painful, but now it's commonplace. You just land at the airport, go get an Uber. But somebody went through a process to have that freedom.
Yeah.
And so I bring that back to this solar debate. It feels like I'm back in that same Uber debate where things that are commonplace in other places are just not common here, but somebody has to go through that tough period to hammer it out.
Yeah. Somebody has to be that advocate.
Somebody has, not the advocate, but more so the paraclete, the balance to govern it, to figure out what are the rules are going to be. How is it going to be deployed when it's next to your property? Let's say Mac has a farm next to this other solar operation. Okay, what if all of the runoff from the solar panels now floods Mac's farm?
How do you prepare for that?
How do you mitigate that? How do you just not do it in the first place? Like another thing with solar, a lot of folks here in Jackson know there's a old Home Depot right on Highway 18 going into Jackson. Well, it was given an incentive to be there. And when the incentive was over, they moved the Home Depot to Clinton. Or they moved Home Depot to Clinton. The building is still there. One of the biggest things from my standpoint when it comes to solar is there are a lot of federal incentives out there for solar. Well, my question is, and I've asked all of them this, and no one's answered this question. Well, what happens when the incentives go away? What do you do with a vacant solar farm?
Right.
We don't even know what to do with a vacant Home Depot.
Right.
What do you do with a vacant solar farm?
Big solar panels.
Everywhere.
Because I mean, I got some neighbors. They've been early adopters too. The solar energy, and you have these either up on your roof, or if you have enough property, you have them close by, with a small lot. But to imagine a solar farm where you repurpose.
Let's say it's a small solar farm. Let's say it's 1,000 acres.
Okay, that's a lot of acreage.
Okay, what do you do with a vacant
solar? Yeah.
What do you do with that?
I don't know what you can do. I mean, if you shut it down, what you gonna do with it?
Let me explain how deep the issue is. So you have a landowner,
right?
Then you have a lease owner,
a person that is leasing the land from the landowner,
right? So
give me the what if.
Sell his property to somebody else. So the people we're dealing with today, in 20 years, when these solar panels go bad, the landowner could have sold his property 3 or 4 times to different people.
Yeah.
But then once the Public Service Commission issues a certificate of public need and conveyance, the leaseholder owns that, and he could sell that several times. So the people at the table today could very easily not be the people at the table 10 years from now.
That's a lot of shuffling,
right?
Our potential
people die,
shuffling.
Air property, businesses file bankruptcy, So that's why we're saying that the state of Mississippi needs to pass some legislation to put some structure around this, because I'm not saying that everybody's like this, but there are people out there who are just in it for the incentives. And then they get the incentives and then they sell it to somebody else who wants the same profits as the first person. But the first person had some incentives in place. The second person may not have the same wherewithal. But then they may say, this is not the best situation for me. Let me hot potato this thing to somebody else. And then you end up in a bad situation.
Yeah.
And that's a very real scenario. So I don't think we should fight over that scenario. We should address the scenario, because that's a very real problem that some people have. I think they just articulated it in a harmful way or an abrasive way But that's a basic common sense, question that the government needs to answer, because the private citizen nor the private contractor is probably not going to answer that question in a healthy way.
So let me give an example of what the Keith is talking about. So like small towns, like where I'm from, we have empowerment zones, right? We have areas where you have incentives for companies come in. They take up a lot of acreage, right? They build big plants, warehouses, manufacturing businesses. The
Right.
incentives leaves, and guess what you got?
Emptiness.
And the thing about it, the people in the area, similar to Jackson, Jackson don't own Jackson. So you got all this acreage of commercial property that nobody can afford. Nobody can, not only you can't afford to purchase it, you can't afford to maintain it and run it. And what you're gonna do with it if you got it. So you start to search for another commercial business or company to come in. So it's just almost like a used car. Like we would teach about financial literacy. All the rebates and all the kickbacks and all the incentives are buying new cars. There's no incentives in getting used cars. So you get this used warehouse property that you got to come up with, because all the rebates and incentives are associated with the new bills. So, it's a lot of times, folks come in and they want to cut the deals into a lot of the small towns. But like the Keith was saying, is when the incentives are gone and you leave this property, then the folks in that small town looking at it like, what we gonna do with it? Because they can't do nothing with it.
Yeah.
They stuck looking at it. It become sometimes it become an eyesore. Sometimes you are able to repurpose it, but it takes a lot of work. And I'm saying that because we have a place like that in my hometown where the company left, and it's just space just there. It's just an empty warehouse, and then we end up bugging different people trying to find a way to to get another business to come in to fill in that spot, because not only is there an empty eyesore, but that's part of your budget. The taxes that were being paid, all that
Yeah.
stuff. So now it's gone. So, and then I'll give an example about financial literacy. If you, we talked about this with fully funding education. If you need $6,000 a month to pay your bills, and then you lose your part-time job, which gave you $2,000 a month, so now you only have $4,000 a month, but your bills are still $6,000.
Still the same.
You in the hole. So then you got to try to figure out how to redo your budget to cover the bills. The bills are still the same. So they're just shedding some light to some of the folks. And this is what we deal with a lot in Mississippi in small town, because we are so poverty stricken. There's a lot of dollars out there to do different things in different areas, and people, once they get the dollars, they gone.
Yeah. And so Stamps, what you're speaking to, or what you spoke to earlier, is you want to put legislation in place, like put some parameters in place so that those types of situations don't just up and happen. Because right now it's just like that's all we got. You come in, you get these incentives, and then you're here for a little while, and then you out.
Right.
Hit it and quit it. God.
And that seems to be something basic that we should all agree on.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't want no hit it and quit it relationships with our corporations.
No.
You got to marry to get this booty,
stick and stay, baby. Stick and stay. Or, there's different bonding things that you can do.
Yeah.
You can, pay a little more, have an assurity bond, if this happens, okay, there's enough insurance over here to come pick all this stuff up and remediate.
Right.
Because what I don't want to have to happen is to create a brownfield. And brownfields are large industrial sites that local government can't clean up to repurpose. So they got to go request money from the federal government to like a gas station or where there's tanks underground and all that.
Yeah.
An old gas station can't be repurposed because somebody got to get them tanks out the ground,
right,
and fill that hole back up, and then it can be repurposed.
Yeah.
But imagine that over 100 acres or 200 acres.
Yeah. So one of the things I've been thinking about this whole electric car thing and the batteries that go into the vehicles and how large they are and how long they'll last. Because like, man, we know we have years of analysis and like lived history and the data that goes along with it to know what we're dealing with gasoline. And I'm not, like you said earlier, I'm not advocating for, one versus the other, but I do have questions about the batteries. Like there's some big batteries, right?
Yeah, like $15,000-$20,000 batteries.
Yeah. So you
My
go and
question
buy
is,
a
like,
used Tesla.
now, do you see anyone buying a used one?
Oh, well,
Will they buy the new one? I have yet to see someone buy a used electric vehicle.
I don't know, but I've seen them for sale. I can't say I've seen anybody buy a used one
because the incentives are on the new ones.
On the new joints. Huh. I wonder if anybody I know bought a used Tesla.
I haven't seen anybody buy a used Tesla.
I know someone that didn't. They had problems.
They did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing about it is charging ports, right? So you got more areas where you can charge it, but it's not it's not as simple as it's made out to be.
So marketing.
Man, listen, they still selling a 1972 Ford, right? And people still buying it with the value
I haven't
be the
seen
same.
anybody try to purchase a 2018 Tesla.
Correct. So what lasts the test of time? Hell, there's still areas around here that got horse and buggy, and that horse ain't stopped pulling yet. As long as you feed him some hay, that ain't what. But so it's just like, but
get him
also
a nag to co-create with.
But the other thing about it is certain areas can't afford it, right? So it's one of those things like it's like a luxury car. You can afford to get it and pay the note. But when they tell you like, oh, okay, well you gotta have this such and such update and your warranty don't cover it. They say, well, how much cost? Oh, it's only gonna be $7,000. You said $7,000. I can go buy. I can go buy two used Toyota Corollas.
You can go buy 2 used Grand Marquises for $7,000.
So that's the realization, because a lot of times people that can't afford certain stuff get into the hype. They get it, and then you can't keep it up. It's the maintenance that gets you. One of the first advice, and Stamps can allude to this, it's not about purchasing the farm. It's about being able to keep the maintenance up.
Yeah.
The maintenance is a whole nother animal, right? So when we evolving into this, we still got people that don't have running water, and people that don't have electricity. I'm just saying, when we talk about moving forward, we still got people that don't have that, like literally don't have. They got a makeshift of septic tank. It's just a pipe that run downhill. We still got that.
They ain't nothing but a slop jaw. That's a glorified slop jaw. For those of you all that have never heard of a slop jaw, it's a slop jar. You put a board over a 5-gallon bucket, and then you sit your tail on the board, and that's where the stuff go in. Slop jar.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you now, our folks survive off of stuff like that, to the point that if you go to Academy Sports, if you go to Bass Pro, they got the Fisherman Hunter slop jar. It's a 5-gallon bucket with a camouflage cushion on it that you can, with the little bag and everything, and you can take that with you when you go hunting or go fishing out in the woods, or you have to go to the bathroom. And our folks been doing this for how many years? Because of poverty was real. But anyway, we digress. Back to Commissioner Stamps.
Look, I'm putting all kind of definitions in the comments this episode. We go look. If nothing else, this will be a history lesson, and it'll be a government lesson. I love it. I love it. I'm gonna put a slop jaw. Stamps, you muted. Come back off mute.
Yeah. There so for me, I just do what I know.
Yeah.
I brought the Grand Marquis analogy up because I got a Grand Marquis. This is my second.
Is it a Grand Marquis or Grand Marquis?
Well, have wherever you from, say it how you say it where you from. Because some people, if you're from Holmes County, you call it a Grand Mar.
Grandma, yeah. Ain't nothing on the end of it.
There's no keys on it. It's Grandma.
Emma.
Yeah.
LAR, grandma.
Yeah, but back on the electric vehicle thing, like I say, I'm not against electric vehicles.
Yeah.
If people want to buy them, okay, let me figure out how to structure it out. But I do have one caveat because as a black man in this role, the raw materials to produce all this green technology goes back to why they killed Gaddafi in the first place.
Okay, come on.
The
Break that
reason
down.
why is because 6 million people in Africa, in the Congo, have been in genocide. 6 million dead in the genocide of the Congo, mining the raw materials to produce all this. And you couldn't have a Gaddafi a few hundred miles to the north and go create a 6 million people genocide to the south. So that and other reasons have led to that. So I speak to the totality of all these industries in the midst of supporting them. Yeah. But at least I feel my role in my space is not turn a blind eye to where this comes from. Where do these batteries come from? Mm-hmm. And I got a cell phone, I got an iPad right here, So I know where this stuff comes from.
Right. So what you're speaking to is knowing the lifeline of all of the things that we use and consume.
That our comforts. Yeah. If our comforts are causing a 6 million people genocide. Right. If it was 6 million Asians, would somebody say something? If it was 6 million anybody, would someone say something?
Come on.
So for me, there's a balance of duality. Sometimes it's conflicting. But at least it needs to be said. Yeah. Yeah. And answered by the industry. And the industry doesn't want to answer those questions. And it's not just me. I got my white colleagues on the Public Service Commission speaking the same thing. Yeah. So that's why I enjoy the space I'm in right now. If there's ever one person that loves the role that they serve in, I love what I'm doing. And I'm with two other folks that love what they're doing too.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, I'm loving it, man. I love it.
I'm not sure if I've ever heard an elected official of any sort. Well, we're just becoming familiar because of our proximity to you. And this is me keeping a thou wow of what a public service commissioner is responsible for. Now, beyond that, typically anybody that is in any sort of local capacity or local elected official, they're always looking at like, all right, well, what's next? But I've never heard anybody say, well, like I'm loving what I'm doing. Me and my partners that all us do this same thing. Like we like this. Like
we're good.
We good.
We're good.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. I love it.
We all got good teams. Our teams work well together.
Yeah.
So we just doing what you elected us to do. When you see when you say, we're gonna stop fighting and just work the list of stuff we agree on. If everybody were to do that, like Washington, D.C. could take a note from Mississippi. If Mississippi at the state level, now we still have our disagreeablenesses, and we can talk about Jackson if you want to. I don't know how much time you got, but
that's a long list right there.
But we working together. We're working together what we agree on.
We'll have to bring you back for
but I'll give you a recap. Let me take a recap. A moment of personal privilege.
Come on, I got you.
Just as leadership, this is what I need to happen, and this is what many also believe is the right thing to do. Is that if you're involved in this, let me put it this way: if you're not involved in this, I'm asking for every elected official in Jackson, Hines County, or whoever, wherever you are, raise your hand and say, I'm not involved. Okay, the keeper stamps can raise his hand and say, I'm not involved.
Hold on, man.
The people need to be able to, because people are out here holding their breath, wondering, is their elected official in this?
Okay.
You keep hearing people say things like, are you a part of this? Or who else is participating? So my question is not asking those people who are, because I did it at first. I said, if you're involved in this, just step down so folks can have one election and not this ward, that ward, mayor, all these different, just have one election. And be
all right. So hold on. Let's run this back. Let me add some clarity. So what we're speaking to is the impropriety that has taken place and the indictments that have been handed out for particular elected officials, and there are some pending things that will be coming out in the days to come as it relates to city council members and or other elected officials there inside of Hines County and the city of Jackson.
Correct.
I did that pretty good, huh, man?
Hey man, you should work in PR.
I feel like I've done this before.
But there's another thing that Matt remembers intimately well. So under the Yarborough administration, pre-scandal,
okay,
we said we should change the form of government because the mayor council form of government produces about 97% of all public corruption cases at the municipal level in the whole country.
Okay,
Google it.
Go ahead.
We just know
what the numbers say. What the numbers say.
So we said, well, what is a lesser form of government that produces less corruption?
Yeah.
Because I fundamentally believe that every level of government is built for corruption. Every level. And it's only not corrupted when you got good people who don't want to do that. So we've been proposing under Yarborough and twice under Lumumba that the city of Jackson change its form of government from the mayor council form of government to the council manager form of government. Okay. And that form of government, what we would look like is you have 4 council people and a mayor. All 5 vote. The mayor runs all the meetings. So now you don't have this divided leadership. You don't have the mayor over here, council over there. You have one mayor. He runs the meetings. So you have one leader. The people elected him to do that one thing. And then the rest of the board.
To manage.
The rest of the board.
Not vote on anything.
He votes. Yeah, the mayor votes.
On
the mayor under the council manager form of government, the mayor votes.
Okay.
They collectively hire a city manager, and that competent working professional runs the city. That competency, what we have in Jackson, you have a system built off of relationships.
Popularity.
I want a system built off of competency.
Yeah.
In those specific roles where you go to each department head and say, you know what? Each one of these department heads could get a job anywhere in the state of Mississippi.
All right, let me make or attempt to make an analogy.
All right.
I'm of the opinion that colleges and more specifically HBCUs and HBCU athletic departments should be run from an entrepreneurial or through an entrepreneurial lens. I believe that we've had examples of athletic directors that have began to operate their departments as businesses and ultimately attempting to better position their athletes for success. And then you still have some of those athletic directors that are they just running it to play ball because we gotta have this as a part of the, you know what I'm saying?
Correct.
So the analogy or the parallel that I'm attempting to make is that we got people that are running for office on popularity, and they're not they're not running for office because they have the ability to run this business at a high level.
Correct.
Okay. All right. I'm on the same page with you.
That's why the number one job go back to my opening remarks. The number one job as an elected official that you have is to make the dirt that you govern more valuable. The actual dirt. And then the number two job you have, the symbiotic to that, is you got to create opportunities for the people that you govern to create jobs. And in our community, getting elected is the easy part. Winning an election is easy compared to the hard part, actually getting things done and working and producing jobs. That's hard.
Yeah.
That's what we stay up late at night doing. That's what we figuring out. That's the hard part. So more of us need to do the hard work of job creation and opportunity creation so that we can balance out the shit. We can't just get elected anymore.
Yeah.
We have to get elected and perform in a legal and ethical way.
Yeah.
And so that's what I tell everybody who's called me. People call me, ask me about running for mayor. I'm not running for mayor. People call and ask me for advice on city council and what to do. Well, I've been telling you what to do for 11 years. So, see, all we have in Jackson is you have a situation where you know you have a corrupt system. The system continually produces corruption. But we have people who just want to be in charge of the manipulation. They don't want to fix it. They just want to be in charge of it so that they can do the corruption. And I'm the guy that's saying, well, let's just fix it. And I'm not saying it's going to totally root it out. I'm saying it's going to make it less.
My boy said, raise your hand if you ain't involved. Just raise your hand.
That's what I want for everybody that's in that whole space. Raise your hand, you're not involved.
Mac, are you okay? Are you Mac, are you involved?
You know what? I challenge somebody to go to the next city council meeting and say in public comments, I would like everybody who is not involved.
Raise your hand. Why are you shaking your head, Mac?
I told you I was going off. That's why I'm drinking water. I told you I was going to snap tonight. I am the freest Negro in politics. I'm going to say exactly what I think need to be said.
Come on with it, man. Come
on.
Mac is silent.
If anybody can Google AI search anything I said and say I'm wrong or I'm a degree off, I will change. I will always submit to a better idea. But if ain't nobody got no idea, you can go what I'm saying.
Now we cooking.
Because hey, Mac, what's our slogan? Doing nothing is not an answer.
No.
We're gonna do something. It might not even be the best idea, but we ain't gonna sit here and see this problem and say we're gonna pray about it. No, Jack. I prayed last night. I ain't gonna come to work tomorrow and go back to pray.
My boy.
Yeah. So a lot of the things with stamps, I mean, again, this is what we used to do. I come back and add clarity or break it down. It's so much that has happened in the city of Jackson, right, in Hinds County, and we talk about arguing amongst yourselves, battling back and forth, and it's so much that's going on. And we in Stamps won't say this because of his position, but I would say you forgot who your true enemy is, right? Who's trying to really literally take your rug from under your feet. And you take off the ball, you get distracted, right? So a lot of things we were talking about earlier when Stamps being in the military, he can connect to what we talked about from pledging, from being in the band, being in martial arts. No matter what happens, don't stop.
Don't stop.
Keep going with the show. Nobody else know what you're supposed to be doing, right? They used to tell us if you're doing a kata and your whole clothes start to fall off,
you don't stop, right? You keep going, and
The record skip, just keep going.
Keep going, and so a lot of times, when folks get pulled down into conversations, and quoting Coach Prime. I don't give a damn. Nobody else don't like what I say. I like Coach Prime. He said, "Keep the main thing," which is something that's very important. If your main thing is making sure that everybody can have safe gas and they can cut their lights on, and you holding energy accountable because we keep having power outages, I need that man focused on keeping the main thing, and not sit over here talking to you about some bullshit that he ain't got nothing to do with.
1,000%. I can agree with that. That's called focus. It's called consistency.
But people like to get you distracted and pull you into stuff that ain't got nothing got nothing to do with you, and sticking to what the plan is, and staying focused. And I was gonna ask Stamp, if I'm not mistaken, Wayne Meacham, Miramar, Florida, don't they have that manager, former government city manager?
That was a good question.
Las Vegas, Austin, Texas.
No, I'm talking about for somebody that we knew. I think one of his famous.
Those are good examples now. Las Vegas and Austin, Texas, like those are very, very large cities.
Right. But it's just a change of style and saying how. A matter of fact, I think Grenada. I think before Trey Baker went to DC, he was the city manager.
He was the city manager. Yeah, I believe so.
So it's not saying it's about the persons. It's just saying looking at doing something different to see how it works. But it's all about evolution, right? When we're talking about, hey, we're not saying that we're not going to need solar, but how we got to evolve to the point of understanding. If we talk about making everything safe, we can't say, hey, we're going to make it safe here, but the people that make the batteries is destroying the rainforest in a whole nother area and taking out people to make the batteries safe. And that goes back to different things that we have that we utilize on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a conversation piece. Not saying that, hey, I'm against it or for it. It's just saying put all the cards on the table to let us know that say,
there you go.
What if you talk about saving this? Yeah, it's not in your neighborhood. Prime example, the One Lake project, right? And some of the different examples they had for the One Lake project. Yes, it's going to create this nice area over here, but it could potentially flood a lot of black communities. So it ain't gonna. Everything in that area is gonna be fine. But what is it gonna do in this area? And again, from the small town that I'm from, we in 1997, we was a result of that. Folks blowing the dam and letting the water all on us to save the property for the people that had money. And so that happens a lot when it comes to the government. So you got to have a government for all people, because a lot of times the people that we are always looked over and taken advantage of. But this ain't the first. Oh, you update on before you get off, man. The update on fiber, internet. Thing that we're using right now.
Come on, we need that.
So what I'll say to start that off is everybody should be functional with the Beam website. The challenge process is happening right now. You can go right on the Beam website, take a look at it. Challenge the process if your area is not included. Challenge the process, because I liken this example with a situation to what happened in Crystal Springs. Like, y'all know, I graduated from Crystal Springs High School. My mom's family side of the family is from over there. But before the railroad was there, the town of Crystal Springs was not where it is today. It was 7 miles away. But the town realized that our town is going to dry up if we're not on this railroad.
Okay.
They picked the whole town up
and
bought the land around the railroad, and they reorganized the government around the railroad.
Okay. And
then private businesses bought more land around the railroad, and they rebuilt the town. And if you go to where the town was, it's a pasture. You don't even know the town was there anymore. So I'm saying this, when the federal government put those railroads in, they didn't come back and put a whole bunch of new railroads in. They just came in and put railroads in. Well, that's where we are with the internet superhighway, the internet railroad that's being put through through this broadband. The federal government is really incentivizing this. There won't be a second shot. You get left out, you're gonna be left out.
And we can't afford to be left out of anything.
The majority of our wealth is tied up into our homes. So if your home doesn't have broadband, nobody's gonna want to buy it. So the value of that thing that nobody wants to buy will go way down. And this could potentially be the greatest wealth balancer of our community or the greatest wealth destroyer of our community. Because we worry more about football than we are about broadband. So we got some serious daggone issues that we need to address, walk through, govern, participate, make sure those of us who are not, all the way there, we have to govern for them too. So your cousin them, your auntie them, since you're the competent or the talented 10th, and I want to bring all this back, the talented 10th cannot do what the bottom 90 do. The talented 10th have a responsibility, a fundamental daggone responsibility to not be around here twerking and jerking, but be out here about the business of moving the daggone community forward.
Okay.
I told you I was gonna snap tonight.
Hey, look, I was about to share something, like, put the screen up there and ask you to walk me through, this whole.
Put the beam site up there. Put it up there.
But look, I was like, yeah, let me pull that back right quick and let them cook. I'm gonna let them cook.
Go ahead, pull it. Well, I'll roll back. But that's what we are. We're at a serious point in life. Yeah, we can't even get involved in national politics to that degree because we got a Mississippi to deal with. Local elections are more important, obviously, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it all starts at local. 2 months.
It all starts local
because they've broken local government.
Yeah.
So we have so for me, I know folks at the DNC right now, and that's necessary. That work is necessary. But for me, I am 10 toes down and head in the ground here in Mississippi, trying to fix Mississippi's problems because we got to compete with China. We ain't got time to fight with DC.
Right.
We competing with the globe to maintain a state.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So every state got the same thing we got. They got dirt. They got highways. Every country got the same thing. So I'm in the fight for the big fight. These little small fights, I'm not fighting race. I'm not fighting gender. I'm not fighting none of this. I'm about the big business, real tough issue of the world. And broadband is center stage to it. Because if you don't have broadband, you are not going to be able to compete in the economy. You will not be able to participate. You just won't.
So look, with that being said, you mentioned Beam. Broadband expansion and accessibility of Mississippi.
Right. So a little background. When I was in the legislature, we co-authored this piece of legislation that created the Beam office. It was the Mississippi Broadband Act, co-authored myself and Representative Scott Bounds, who was the former Public Utilities Chair in the House of Representatives.
Okay.
That piece of legislation created the Beam office and created a space to challenge the federal government, because at the time the federal government said that Mississippi does not need broadband money because we have access to clear skies and we can get satellite internet.
Okay.
So then we said, well, we're going to create our own map to challenge your map, federal government. And so that's what we attempted to do with this website. The map it creates, if you click on broadband Mississippi up there at the top to the left right there. Yeah. So you scroll up and you can scroll through the website. If you have no internet, that's the number you call, and you can submit your address via text or on a phone call. So some people say, well, how do I get internet if I can't go to the website? Well, there's a number. You can call the number and put your address into the mapping system.
Okay.
All right. And then so go back to the home page.
All right, here we go.
All right. Scroll up a little bit.
All right.
All right. So you can click the where it says click here.
Uh-huh. Oh, hold on. Share this tab instead. It
Okay.
had to catch up. There we
Okay,
go.
yeah, that's fine. So right here, you can see the map. You can test your internet service or submit challenge evidence. When you click on CMAP.
CMAP. All right.
All right. So if you zero in on Holmes County,
Okay.
you can make it map to the right. You see that little plus, and yeah, you can make it zoom in on Holmes County over there. So now screwed over. All right.
See that?
So the legend will show you what those color codes look like, you know, and so you can see what's unserved, what's underserved, and you can also click on a dot and see who has done the test. Now they're creating the map of where the money goes based on where people participate in the process. So now, and you can click on the address, click on a dot, it'll tell you, so you got one click on there, go to the left side of the screen, scroll up. And so you can see right there, that area is unserved, underserved, underserved, and you can look at the internet speeds of
so
their residents.
This says copper.
Right.
This says fixed wireless.
Right.
Fixed
Look
wireless.
Look at the numbers.
Numbers is
go back up to the top.
Okay.
Right, so you see AT&T
10 megabytes.
copper, 10 megabytes a second, 1 megabyte a second, you know, so
it got an arrow down.
That's the download speed.
So okay, all right. And then the 1 megabyte, that's the up.
Correct.
All right.
So if you had that address with 10 down and 1 up, what could you do?
Absolutely nothing.
So what I'm saying is the folks that are in these areas got to get involved to get resources for your area, because I got a young lady that is in rural Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
She was getting kicked. She may have gotten kicked out by now. I haven't talked to her in a while, but she has 2 virtual jobs that allow her to work from home. But she works for the Department of Education in Virginia and the Department of Education in Arizona. She has 2 virtual jobs, 2 full-time virtual jobs. You walk into her house, it reminds you of Coming to America. Where they walk into that
that's one of my favorite.
That's
one of my favorite TV shows.
Right. It was beautiful in that apartment. It's because
when they moved into New York, that's what you're talking about?
Right.
Okay.
Right. And so because she's able to work somewhere else but live here.
Yeah.
So the new job creation is not about an industrial plant, an industrial park only.
Yeah.
People can work from home, make money from somewhere else, go to their local church, stay close to their mama.
Yeah. Pay their tithes. Yeah.
Pay their tithes, and then go in a little room to their house and go back to work.
Yeah. This is true.
For me, we could more easily create 50,000 work from home jobs faster than you can creating 50,000 jobs for some kind of manufacturing plant, and make more money as citizens and as a state. So I believe that the Beam opportunity gives us the ability to give our citizens the ability to participate in the economy that is already 30 years ahead of Mississippi.
Yeah. That's real. And I know that it is a challenge, and we don't have to just look at not Hinds County, but Holmes County. I know for sure with people that I interact with on the regular in other parts of the state that have higher education institutions, and their neighborhood, which is probably less than 15-20 minutes from that, institution of higher learning, and they are underserved.
Correct.
So so what is the ask here?
All right, so go back one page, the page previous to this page.
Okay.
All right, so we just clicked on CMAP. When you
Right.
click on test your internet service, what that does is that you put your address in and so forth and so on. And, you know, that tests the service where you are.
Okay.
And that's how the map was created that you saw. And then go back one more page. Go back to the previous page. Too far.
Right here.
All right, scroll up. All right, so right there where it says submit challenge evidence.
Yeah.
If you look at that map and you don't see your address on it, you need to submit a challenge and test your service as well to get your address in the map, because what's happened is Mississippi, based on the work we did a few years ago, we put a little over $60 million in the pot for this. The way we were able to get more bang for our buck is we required the companies who were requesting the money to match the money.
Yeah.
So our $60 million turned into $120 million, but they had to use our map to map out what locations they were going to put it. So now we have I'm not saying it's the perfect system, but it has user generation. So now it's on the citizens to submit your information. So now it's more participatory. It's more open of a process. And then the company has to turn around and use our data to submit their application to get the money, because at the end of the day, they're going to keep that. They're going to keep the asset. See, in the utility space, everything we put in the ground, we plan for it to be there 100 years. Like that light pole in your front yard was probably the same light pole that they put there 100 years ago when they put lights in your yard. So that's how our brain works in the utility world. Everything we put in the ground, we want to put in the ground for 100 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Except for gas lines. But everything else, this broadband line, that broadband line gonna be there for 100 years.
100.
So that means that whoever in the future, the people who make the most money will be the people who own the fiber. Because it won't just be the people who use the fiber.
Yeah.
Who owns the internet railroad becomes the Canadian National, becomes the Vandenberg Group, becomes the people who own that, because the value is going to be in ownership, because you can charge the AT&Ts, the whoever is leasing it, a sizable amount of money to maintain their leases.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of how the money rolls. So now we were able to secure, we're working with our federal delegation, we were able to secure $1.2 billion for broadband expansion.
Billion with a B.
With a B.
Okay.
And so using our same rubric that we used before, that will, we already know, become $2.4 billion. Just by doing what we've already done.
Yeah.
Now, communities use the map, put your information in, test the service. We tell folks to test your service 5 days in a row. So it's irrefutable that this address has 10 megabytes up and 1 megabyte down.
Yeah.
It's verifiable. It's not a fluke. It's not a bad test result. Everybody, the reason why we created millionaires when we were in the legislature, when we wrote this law, the first thing I did was go to Cedar Hills, Willowwood, Brook Hollow, and my district. My district became one of the fastest deploying districts of broadband in the state. But immediately the property values went up. Houses that were $15,000 and $20,000 and $30,000 immediately went up. I mean, some of these places are now $100,000.
And that's straight up because of just access. Like your property is on this internet railroad.
Correct.
Gotcha.
at that high speed.
Yeah.
It's not just about having the service.
Yeah.
Like even you know, you want the fastest internet possible because it gives you the ability to participate in immersive learning. And you know, in the metaverse.
Yeah.
There's money being made right now in the metaverse. Billions of dollars every day is changing hands in the metaverse. And who's locked out of that economy?
People that don't have access to broadband, high-speed internet.
Correct. Right. And so this is our shot to be able to participate. And I just want to get as many people the opportunity to do it. It's not something the government going to do for you. This is something that local community people must do themselves and ensure their neighbors are taken care of.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you to do what we did. So we went through all our neighborhoods, the same process it takes to get elected. We use the same process, knocking on doors, going to community meetings, doing the same thing we just talked about.
Yeah.
And we got millions of dollars from my house district, which in turn turned into property value, which in turn people sold their houses. They bought farms out in the country. They did all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you got 10 or 15, 20,000 more dollars of equity in your house, it may have taken a year or two going through the process, but I'm sure you appreciate it.
Definitely. Yeah. Now, this is good info, and we see Sabir chiming in, who's been our representative, you know, that provides us with updates internally as it relates to, you know, Mississippi Move and things. I think what we're going to do, Commissioner Stan, we definitely going to chop up these little segments and push those out as a way to, you know, of course, just inform people, but then also hopefully we will be able to inspire them to see how their internet measures up. And then, you know, we got a little spicy when we start talking about, you know, Jackson. So we're gonna see who we can get to raise their hand. And
I just want people to raise their hand and say, I'm not involved.
We're gonna see. Now, I'm gonna say this. I know for sure, I know without a doubt that Brett Favre was involved. 1,000%. We know who the co-conspirators were there as well.
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't know who going to jail.
Somebody's going to jail.
I know who ain't going to jail.
I know. What's say? This guy wearing purple?
I know who ain't.
All right. Oh, well, look, man. We appreciate the public service update. I think we can make this a regular occurrence. Maybe
Anytime,
we can put it on look your folk laughing. We can put it on a calendar, man. We can make sure that we get these public service updates on the regular, and hopefully we may be able to get some of your colleagues to join us. So that would be a feat.
They're good dudes. Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Carr, they're good dudes. All of us are rough around the edges in our own special way, but we fit together pretty good.
What does that look like? The Public Service Commission on Nightcap Knowledge. Oh, shucks, man. Come on.
And it's got to be one at a time because two of us can't be in a meeting talking about policy.
Okay.
It's got to be one at a time.
Yeah, we can do it, but hey, man, you know, we get, 20 minutes at a time. Like
I'll make sure Mac has the info, and I'm pretty sure if he asks, they'll say they'll be fine with it.
Mac, are you okay with that? Did I put you on the spot with that? Like, you good?
I'm just laughing because I was at the swearing in, and it was funny because the one that's in your area, this is first public service position.
Uh-huh.
I think he almost forgot his name. He was so nervous. He was when they was swearing to me. He was nervous. He was excited and nervous at the same time. Yeah. They were talking to him. He was like it's happening. It's one of those moments like this is really happening.
Yeah.
And the guy from up, the gentleman up north, man, yeah, they had a crew. It was the Keith family and his family. They had the whole area full. So he got a team with him too, and I think that it's a good match. So yeah, but
getting that information out and hearing about other areas because I think he had a development in his area also. So it's good information to get out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good
So we can
stuff,
make it
man.
happen, bro. We can make it happen. But
East Mississippi, we coming hard. We got something major we working on. I can't tell you what it is, but we're finna hit the ball out the park.
you said East Mississippi. You didn't talk about going Meridian area, are you?
I just say East Mississippi.
Okay. All right.
I tell them we got to keep the hands loose, man. Don't tighten
Keep
up.
your hand loose.
There you
Tighten
go.
up.
I told you we're gonna create 100,000 jobs, right?
100,000.
So at the end of the day, with all this stuff that you create, what does it get you to?
Well, hey, my job is to chop wood where I am, and that means the community college systems, the mamas and the daddies need to focus their children on the direction that we going. Don't send your child over here for basket weaving. Send your child to electrical, water. It may not be Lamborghini money, but it's damn sure F-250 money and a camera for your wife and a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. It's definitely that.
And that, my friends, is where the money resides.
Wait.
We appreciate y'all for tapping in, tuning in. This has been another episode of Nightcap Knowledge. My name is DJ George Chuck. We got Mr. Mac, and we'd like to thank the Public Service Commissioner of the Central District, Keith Stamps, for tapping in with us. We will see y'all next week, man. Don't forget to go stream that Hub City Step remix by DJ Cujo, and make sure you subscribe to Nightcap Knowledge on all platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Nightcap Knowledge. Peace.